Hi, I'm Dan Elias. I'm the Robin and John Davis Chief Curator at the Nantucket Historical Association. Here at the NHA, we've got a great collection of Scrimshaw. What makes it special is that, distinct from other major collections, ours is deeply connected to the history here in Nantucket. We're fortunate that some of the greatest practitioners were born, lived on, or shipped out of Nantucket. The biggest name in Scrimshaw is Edward Burdette, born here in 1805. His teeth sell for tens or hundreds of thousands of dollars today. Taught by British sailors, he was one of the first to make fully realized American Scrimshaw. We're fortunate to have two of his teeth, and you can see what makes him special. This is a typical scene for Scrimshaw, showing the chase. And he really knew his stuff. Every line is in place. You can even see that the topsails have 3 sets of reef points instead of only one on the others, because the tops were the hardest working sails of all and needed the greatest degree of control. You can also see, when we compare his with others' work, how deeply he inscribes his lines. Here, you can take a look really close. You can see how beautifully he incises this tooth and how bold his strokes are. Really quite extraordinary work. We have another Burdette as well. It's a simpler tooth, showing cutting in, the sails backed. Again, the great detail in the handling of how the sails are depicted. On the back of the tooth, there's no image, just the beauty of the material and this little laurel leaf garland that Burdette often used. Burdette's pretty much at the top of the heap for Scrimshaw, but we're fortunate that another Nantucket scrimshander, Frederick Myrick, is right up there with him. He shipped twice on a ship called the Susan, making a series of teeth with some decidedly repetitive motifs. We'll take a look at them. You'll see what I mean. He signed and dated almost all his teeth, which makes him an unusual figure. You can see a ship on the front with a banner, a ship on the back with a banner. Underneath the inscription, Ship Susan of Nantucket, Frederick Swain Master, give credit to the boss. And on the top of the tooth, death to the living, long life to the killers, success to the sailors' wives, and greasy luck to whalers. The poem that he often wrote on his teeth. And then around the cap, is on the backside, you can't see it, is his signature, but here it says February 6th, 1829. And one of the features of Myrick's teeth is that he dated every one of them very exactly. You can see, for example, on this tooth, again, the Ship Susan of Nantucket, a chase scene with the same eagle cartouche and crossed flags on the cap, the same inscription across the bottom. On the back, his poem and ships cutting in again, the anchor. But look, here it's dated the 7th, February the 7th, 1829, just the next day after that previous tooth. And then a few months later, we have him still etching the Susan on the coast of Japan, a little more boldly etched actually this time. Again, crossed flags and the eagle. And on the back, this you see his very precise and controlled line for the sea compared with Burdette's rather more wild motif that he used. And you can see this little lighthouse, which is Sankaty Light, on its way home. It says the Susan on her homeward bound passage. Really quite a sweet homecoming for the Susan after he was on her for 6 years, never did another whale voyage, and never scrimshawed another tooth. He did 37 teeth altogether. So Burdette and Myrick are at the top of the heap in Scrimshaw. Here's a view by not quite as accomplished a scrimshander, Edward Cartwright Starbuck. Liberty and unity here, a little portrait of a whale, and a different view of the chase than we saw before. You can see better wave delineation here, more realistic, and in the distance an island, a mountainous island. but overall not quite as deeply incised, not quite as organized. On the back, an image, a shoreside image of the Bethel, which is a non-denominational seaman's chapel, and a rather sweet little poem that runs along the bottom and around the base here, talking about home, sweet home, and sitting with his love nearby. Apparently, although he was rather sweet in his Scrimshaw, he was a tyrant and a braggart at sea, known for beatings and foul language, and for basically giving Nantucket a bad name in terms of his seamanship and capacity. There's also, on a rather more peaceful note, this is the Abbey of Fitzmartin, rather a beautiful Scrimshaw, I think quite different, by Peter Coffin. This peaceful scene, the Abbey of Fitzmartin was actually not far from Milford Haven, where Nantucket had established an outpost about 1790. This is in fact an image not of the Abbey of Fitzmartin, but of a fortress that was illustrated in the same book of stories from which he got the idea of this peaceful sailing scene. On the back of this tooth is another chase scene, whaleboats after whales, and on the bottom, a rather beautifully rendered portrait of a sperm whale here. You can see the equator. This is where they were hunting, and his signature P.N. Coffin. He actually, I think his middle initial was really M, but he wrote N here. Finally, John Chinnery was a Nantucket boy. He grew up, actually born in Brooklyn, but moved to Nantucket at the age of 14. But he has kind of a city boy's eye for fashion and for the ladies. Taken from the Godey's Ladies' Book of 1864. And I can do a little magic here and show you the image that this was taken from. A published fashion magazine. You can see the pantsuited woman here is very much taken directly from this one, and then the woman with kind of harem pants and a skirt and a short sleeve jacket is over here on the right. Beautifully filled in, fancifully colored, rather sensitively done. I like this tooth. And you can see here, this is a portrait. It says it's a portrait of John Chinnery. In fact, we think it's a portrait of his father, and also a portrait of his mother, done by a portrait painter, Sally Gardner, who is probably best known to our audience as the painter of Arthur Cooper, a runaway slave who was saved from Virginia Marshals in 1822. But she painted these beautiful little portrait scenes. Here, we'll go back and take one more look at his father, Charles. Scenes that were probably given to John to take with him on his whaling voyage. In any case, thank you for visiting with the Scrimshaw collection of the Nantucket Historical Association. Oh, by the way, if you want to get to know our Scrimshaw collection even better, you can buy Stuart Frank's wonderful book, Scrimshaw on Nantucket. It's a wonderful publication brought out last year, and you can have our collection in your home. Thank you so much, and enjoy. I hope you enjoyed this edition of Meet the Collection.